If you find yourself always waiting for tomorrow to be brave, to start, to live fully, listen to the story of a man who held the future in his hands but forgot the present. In a sleepy coastal town, there lived a man named Elias who believed life was meant for later, a later that never came. Elias woke before dawn, his small home still wrapped in shadows and sea salt air. The creak of the old wooden floor beneath his bare feet was the first sound in the quiet morning. Outside, the waves whispered secrets against the cliffs and gulls wheeled overhead, their cries sharp and free. For a moment, Elias stood by the window, hands pressed against the cool glass, watching the horizon. The endless blue promised so much, yet he felt trapped by the weight of what was waiting for him, just around the corner, in the tomorrow he endlessly waited for. He was tall, with a lean frame that told of no scarcity in life's simple labors, and eyes that held a gentle warmth, like the last ember of a dying fire. Elias was known in his town for being kind, always ready with a nod or a small smile. The baker would greet him every morning, slipping an extra loaf his way, and the fishermen often called him Steady, a man who believed nothing good came from rushing. Each day, Elias followed the rhythm of habit. A cup of strong black coffee, the sound of the waves, the slow stroll to the market where he'd helped the old grocer set up. He loved his townsfolk in a quiet way, like the steady tide loves the shores, and yet behind his gentle routine, there drifted a restless sigh, a silent shout that something was slipping through his fingers. "I'll start tomorrow," Elias muttered as he lifted a basket heavy with oranges. The words had become his unspoken prayer, his shield against the stirring fear inside that whispered, "You are losing time." His younger sister, Mara, often watched him with a mixture of concern and frustration. She was the spark to his steady flame, quick to laugh, quick to act. "Elias, you've got to stop waiting," she said one afternoon, brushing sun-bleached hair out of her face as they walked along the rocky shore. "There's no great moment coming. It's now or never." Elias had smiled, the tired smile of a man who wanted to believe but didn't quite know how. "Maybe tomorrow, Mara," he said, voice low. She stopped, turning to face him directly, the wind ripping at her loose dress. "Tomorrow keeps coming and you stay the same. Does that feel right?" He looked out at the restless sea, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I just don't want to fail." Mara's eyes softened. "Then maybe you should stop fearing the fall and start living the flight." That night, Elias lay awake. The moonlight spilled through a crack in the shutters, casting long lines across his bed. His heart crawled with unease. Another day used up without the steps he always promised to take. The next morning was no different. The town awoke with its usual chorus. The creak of boats, laughter from children chasing after stray dogs, the distant melody of a guitar from the square. Elias wandered through his daily tasks, all the while feeling the invisible shackles of delay tighten. He had dreams, quiet ones, that stuck in his mind like the taste of salt on his lips. Dreams of painting, of distant lands, of stories told under wide-open skies. But each dream was tucked away beneath layers of someday. His neighbor, old Mr. Ramirez, watched him carefully during the market one day. The elderly man had worked the docks for over 50 years, his skin leathered by sun and salt, hands like gnarled branches that still held strength. "Elias," Ramirez said quietly, "your boat sails each morning, but it never leaves the harbor. What's holding you back?" Elias shrugged, cheeks heating. "I'm waiting for the right time." Ramirez grunted, eyes sharp. "That time never comes. We get the day we're given, not the one we hope for." Words like a slap. Elias looked away, swallowed. He wanted to believe otherwise. Days folded into one another. The weight of tomorrow wrapped around Elias like a fog, thick and suffocating. Mara's warnings mingled with the sighs of the ocean, but still, the man who dreamed without daring remained motionless. One evening, as the sun bled orange into the sky, Elias sat on the wooden dock, legs dangling above the water. A small bonfire flickered near the shore, where villagers gathered, laughing and sharing stories. The smell of roasting fish and pine smoke filled the air. Yet Elias felt far away, swallowed by his own silence. A group of fishermen called out, beckoning him to join. He shook his head reluctantly. "Why do you hide, friend?" called Mateo, the youngest among them, his voice bright as the moon. "I'm not hiding," Elias replied, voice catching. "I'm just waiting for something to begin." Mateo frowned, stepping closer. "But isn't that what life is? Beginning every day, no matter how small. You don't need to wait for tomorrow to be alive." Elias looked at their faces, open, eager, full of the kind of energy that he only remembered seeing in his youth. Once he had been like that too, bursting with plans and hope. Somewhere along the years of postponing and hesitation, something had changed. "I'm tired," Elias finally admitted to the sea. "Tired of wanting and not doing. Tired of dreams that vanish with the dawn." Mara found him there later that night and sat beside him, her hand warm on his back. "You're not alone," she whispered, "but you have to choose today, because today is all you have." He closed his eyes, the phrase looping in his mind. Today is all you have. The days that followed brought no magic change. Elias continued his quiet dance with weight and worry, but the energy in his bones stirred differently. A small ember glowed beneath layers of ash. Then one morning, as mist curled over the cliffs, a rumor began to buzz through the town. A stranger had arrived. No one knew much, just that he was an old man living on the hilltop, a recluse said to have wisdom deeper than the ocean. Curiosity pricked at Elias more than he expected. As he moved through the market, the chatter buzzed louder. "They say he's lived as if tomorrow never mattered. Like yesterday doesn't exist either, simply now." Elias' heartbeat quickened. Could this be the sign he had been waiting for, or the one he was afraid to face? A week later, carried by restless nights and the weight of silent desperation, Elias found himself climbing the winding path that led to the stranger's home. The air was cool and smelled of wildflowers and damp earth. The door was a weathered slab of wood, unassuming but solid. Elias hesitated only a moment before knocking. The door creaked open before he could step back. The old man stood there, eyes as clear as mountain springs, skin etched with the map of countless years. His hair was a tangled silver halo, and he wore a simple robe, the fabric worn but clean. "Come in, Elias," the man said, voice calm like a quiet river. "I've been expecting you." Elias' breath caught, a shiver tracing his spine. How could he know his name? How could he know? Inside, the cottage smelled of herbs and old books, the walls adorned with paintings of skies and seas and moments frozen in time. The old man gestured to a low chair by the fire. "Sit," Elias obeyed, words tangled in his throat. "I see the weight you carry," the stranger said after a pause. "Tell me about it. Speak as if you've been holding everything inside for years, because perhaps you have." Elias swallowed hard, then began to spill the story. The waiting, the fear, the dreams buried beneath the sand of delay. The old man listened, eyes never leaving his face, absorbing each word. When Elias finished, the silence stretched out, not empty but full, like the calm before a storm. Finally, the man spoke. "You live for a tomorrow that does not exist, and in doing so, you waste a today that is alive. But why do you think this happens?" The question hit Elias like a sudden wind. "I don't know," he whispered. "I'm afraid to fail, to lose time, to make the wrong choice." The old man nodded. "Fear is the cage, but freedom lies in understanding that today, the only time truly ours is gift, is life." Elias looked at him, eyes searching, yearning. The man smiled gently. "Are you ready to understand?" Elias nodded slowly, a tremor of hope stirring deep within him. The stranger took a deep breath, the firelight flickering in his eyes. "Then listen closely, for what I will tell you may change everything." The old man took a deep breath, and his words were like a calm river flowing steadily. "Imagine Elias, a farmer who had a field full of the richest soil, but every season he hesitated to plant. He waited for the perfect day, the perfect rain, the perfect sun. One day an old traveler came to him and said, 'Why do you wait? The soil is ready, the season calls for action.' Plant now or your field will grow cold and weeds will claim it. The farmer scoffed. Not yet, he said. Tomorrow I will. But tomorrow the same words echoed again. Not yet. The old man's eyes glinted softly in the firelight. Do you know what happened in the end? Elias shook his head, leaning forward. The traveler left and the farmer's field lay barren, untouched until the earth hardened beneath the frost. The season had passed, and so had the chance to harvest. But nearby, a humble seed carried by the wind had fallen in a crack of rock. No farmer tended it. No perfect soil awaited it. Yet that seed pushed through the stone's hard skin, breaking its shell and growing, slowly but surely, toward the sun. It chose today, even when conditions were far from perfect. Elias swallowed, the picture vivid in his mind, a seed tiny but determined, cracking the stone's prison to reach life. The old man smiled gently. That seed is you, Elias. Every day you wait, years slip by like passing shadows, but the opportunity does not vanish like a ghost. It waits in the small steps taken in the present. The crack in the stone is your action. For a long moment, silence hung between them, filled only by the fire's soft crackle. Then Elias breathed out, eyes shimmering with a dawning understanding. So, I've been waiting for the field to be perfect, but the real power is breaking the stone now, even just a little. The old man nodded. Exactly. You don't need the perfect tomorrow. You need the courage to start today, to chip away the doubts and fears. Elias bowed his head thoughtfully. And if I fail, then you learn to chip again, the man said with a smile. The stone is patient, and so must you be. The next morning, Elias woke with a restless energy he hadn't felt in years. The sun spilled gold across his small home, and with trembling hands, he pulled out an old canvas hidden beneath the bed, dusty and cracked at the edges. The paints were stiff, but the colors still vibrant, humming with promise. He set the canvas outside near the window where the light hit just right and picked up the brush. Just one stroke, he whispered, just one. His hand wavered, doubt screamed in his mind. What if it wasn't good? What if he wasted the paint? But he remembered the seed-breaking stone. One stroke at a time, he told himself. Days turned into weeks. Some mornings he painted, others he simply prepared, cleaning brushes, grinding colors, staring at the blank canvas with a mix of longing and dread. The whisper of old fears never left, but he battled them with every small act, cleaning a brush, sketching a line, daring a color splash. Mara noticed the change first. One afternoon, as they walked by the shore, she smiled brightly. You're different, Elias. There's a fire in your eyes. He smiled back, simple and genuine. Maybe I'm finally starting. The townsfolk began to see it too. The little paintings Elias displayed in the market spoke of waves wrapped in twilight, of birds in flight, of stars tangled in dreams. People paused, touched by the quiet magic in his art. But the true test came one evening a month later when a traveling art collector stayed in town and invited Elias to show his work in the city nearby. It was the chance to step beyond the familiar cliffs and waves into the unknown. Yet with the offer came a storm inside. Old doubts surged, telling him to say no. Wait, maybe you're not ready. Tomorrow, perhaps. Elias sat on the dock that night, staring at the sea's endless rolling. His heart ached with indecision. Then Mara found him, her hand firm on his shoulder. Remember the seed, she whispered. The stone doesn't wait for you. He closed his eyes and recalled the old man's words. Not the perfect moment, just this one. I'll go, Elias decided quietly. I will go. The city was a whirlwind of noise and light, a different world from his coastal town. Elias felt the tremble of fear with every step, but he held his purpose close like a precious flame. The exhibition opened in a small gallery filled with curious visitors. Elias stood near his paintings, silent but present. At first, only a few looked. Then more came, captivated by the sincerity in his work. A notable critic approached, nodding thoughtfully. There's something honest here, she said. The kind of art that speaks of someone who's finally found their own voice after silence. Elias felt a swell of hope, and tears well up. Years of waiting, moments lost to fear, were now replaced by movement, by presence. Over the following months, his art gained recognition, but more importantly, Elias felt alive in a way he never had before. He called his pieces today's gifts, a tribute to the moment he finally chose to live, to break the stone and plant his seed. Back in his town, Elias' story inspired others. Young and old came to him, seeking advice, courage, a spark. He always said with a gentle smile, "The only time you really have is now. Don't wait to break the stone." Years later, Elias visited the old man's cottage once again. The sage sat beneath the same tree, eyes bright with pride. "You flew," the old man said simply. "No," Elias smiled, "I just started planting, one day, one moment at a time." And that, Elias, is the truest flight of all. And so Elias discovered that the future waits for no one, but the present opens doors each day, if only we dare to take the first step. That day, something changed not only for him, but for the entire village. The ripple of his courage touched lives, reminding all who knew him that waiting is a thief of dreams. And today, the moment we hold is the treasure we must seize. Years later, when asked about his secret, Elias always said, "I stopped waiting for tomorrow. I broke the stone and planted my seed." You can do the same. This story shows us that the greatest barrier to becoming who we want to be is the waiting, the belief that the perfect moment will come later. And you, how many times have you waited for the perfect opportunity, only to see days, months, or years disappear? How many times has fear whispered that you're not ready, that the time isn't right? How many gifts have slipped out of your hands simply because you postponed your first step? As Elias learned, time is not a river you can pause. It flows steadily, regardless of your readiness. The true power lies in choosing today, no matter how imperfect or uncertain. It's not about waiting for confidence to find you. It's about finding it in the act of starting. You don't need to change everything all at once. Begin with one small action today, whether it's picking up a brush, sending a message, taking a walk, or writing a single sentence. Tomorrow, take another. Bit by bit, step by step, you chip away at the stone that holds your dreams captive. If this story touched something inside you, don't let that feeling fade. Don't let that spark die out. Starting now, choose one thing you've been putting off and take that first small step. Today is all you have to begin. In the comments, write, "I will start." Just 3 words. Let those words become your promise to yourself. Like this video if you're ready to stop waiting and start living. Subscribe for more stories that inspire courage to act today. And share this with someone waiting for their moment to arrive. They need to hear this story as much as you do. Your future is waiting, but it will never come before today. Your seeds are ready to grow. Break your stone, plant your dreams, and remember, your wings were always there. It's time to fly.